We Have Issues is a weekly podcast full of reviews of comics and oversharing. We use grown-up language to make very childish jokes. You can find the show at wehaveissues.net, as well as anywhere else where average to not too bad podcasts can be found. Definitely the one who looks most like Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. I'll give you that.
I'm also not good with faces, I should point out. So
yeah, I'm just awful. Faces and making new memories and dates and all sorts of different stuff.
I'm not good with anything visual. I'm good at remembering sort of names and who had a thing with who and when this happened, but I'm not good at like when I walk out this room, I won't remember what colour the walls are.
They're red like the inside of a human body.
And now I'll remember, thank you.
I'm not very good at manual tasks, I'm not, if you have to, I couldn't fit a kitchen.
No, I couldn't either, but that's quite a big thing. Can you not aim a little bit slow? We're talking about day-to-day... We're talking about day-to-day stuff that affects us from minute to minute when we're meeting you. What things are you inadequate at?
You're not a kitchen fitter by trade, are you? Because then that would affect you day-to-day.
I'm not a kitchen fitter by trade, I'm not at all.
Good. I think we've established that that's good. There must be loads of things that you're inadequate at on a minute-to-minute basis.
I think I look like I could be a kitchen fitter. I've got the sort of the build, you know what I mean? I'm sort of, quite corpulent.
Some sort of labourer.
Yeah, definitely.
You've definitely got the arse crack thing going on.
Oh, yeah, but that should have done it, yeah.
Can you just sort of endlessly suck your teeth and drink tea and say, got to get the parts, love?
It's going to cost you. I love a cup of tea as well. You want mate's cup of tea, would you, love?
I'd hire him to fit my kitchen just based on that.
Last plumber I had him wanted to tell me about his cocaine addiction and his divorce. I had, seriously, right? He saw a packet of king-size Rizzler in my kitchen, and that was it. I love cocaine and I've divorced my wife and she's upset that I'm with another woman. I don't want to know, mate. Fix me fucking cooker and piss off.
It's not Jeremy Kyle.
No, I want Jeremy Kyle. I don't remember his name.
You had a plumber fixing your cooker?
I don't know. Gas fitter. It's all fucking pipes. I think they're bloody special because there's not water going through it. It's like air conditioning school.
Air conditioning school. Oh, you just started watching Community.
I'm almost finished, mate. I'm on the 4th season. I'm caning through that, I tell you.
You're binge watching.
I am. I think Seal is following me as well. Right, there's the...
Seal?
There's the issue where...
The singer Seal?
The singer Seal, yeah, not a seal.
Oh.
You know the episode where Kiss from a Rose...
Yeah. I watched them all when they came out.
They're standing in front of the green screen and he's singing with the Dean, so that the Dean won't... I've watched a lot of Community.
So I was watching that yesterday, and I've had Kiss from a Rose stuck in my head, and I was humming it to myself. I don't particularly like it, but I was humming it to myself.
It's a classic.
On the way.
Yeah.
But so like...
But you're counterculture though, aren't you?
So do you want to be in my gang by Gary Glitter, but it's not part of my sort of musical lexicon.
Okay.
If you like. But, so I had it in my head when I was going out. I got up to the co-op, so I had to get a tenner out, because I didn't have any money on me, and I wanted to get the bus in, so I bought a bottle of water, 49p, which I thought was very reasonable for, 500 millilitres. And, they were playing Kiss from a Rose in the co-op. I thought, oh, that's weird. But it's unusual, isn't it? I hadn't heard it for years, and then I've heard it twice in 2 days. It's fun.
It's like Seal's following you around.
It's like when
he thinks you're Heidi Klum.
When you get when my wife, she gets a new car, or when I was a kid, when my parents got a different car, you wouldn't see any of the sort of cars you've got until you're in it, and then you notice them everywhere.
What you're referring to is called Bieder-Meinhof syndrome or something. That's what it is.
Oh, so is that the full title? Yeah. Bieder-Meinhof syndrome or something?
Or something, yeah. You see something or hear something, and then it's like you keep hearing it.
Yeah.
But it's not really... It's not magic.
I know it's a thing.
It's not like Deja Vu, which is magic.
I'm aware it's a thing. I think David Mitchell wrote about it a couple of weeks ago in his column in The Guardian.
About Bieder-Meinhof?
I think so, yeah.
Or maybe he's writing about it tomorrow and you're just having Deja Vu.
I'm more into nominative determinism at the moment.
You like nominative determinism? These are all big words. Yeah, I love it.
I like it. So like if your name's Baker
and
you cook bread for a living.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Your first name's Baker.
Or Victor Slasher, and you become a murderer.
Well, because if your name's Baker, then there's a good chance at some point in your life, not in your life, at some point in your not your descendants, the other way around, ancestry, there were bakers. That's why you had the name. So you don't become a baker because...
That was just an example, Nick.
Right.
So, for example, if your name was, say, for example, Francis Lake, and you became someone who looks after lakes. No, that doesn't. A trout master. Like my surname's Gilly, so if I became a gamekeeper
or a sniper,
or
snipers wear ghillie suits. That's a real thing. I know things.
They sell them at the army surplus.
Or if I became like a maxillofacial surgical implement, then because there's a range of forceps for maxillofacial surgery called
NHS
ghillies.
Workers.
Well, we'll see for how much longer.
They retain everything that they've ever seen in front of them.
Because it's my fucking name. Of course I'm going to remember that. It's got, that's got my name in it.
I've got another one that I've been thinking about this week for various reasons.
If you became the father of Constantinople...
Yes.
Papa Constantino.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or if Papa Midnight and John Constantine had a love child.
Which should happen
at
some point.
It actually has in a slash fic I wrote.
Oh, right.
I didn't really, but...
I want to introduce a concept, because we've been talking about concepts, which I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about it because of superhero films.
Right.
Which we're not going to talk about. We can't. I can't bear it. So we're not going to talk.
I don't think anything's even happened with
I
regard to
don't think
superhero
anything
films
has.
this week.
We had 20 minutes of it the other week as well, so that's it. We've done that.
But in media res is a thing. Have you heard of that? In media res.
No, what's that?
It kind of means. What does it mean?
It means like where a story starts in the middle.
Yes.
Pretty much. So like there's one I really like, which is an issue of Catwoman back when Ed Brubaker was writing it, and it's Slam Bradley, the private detective, hanging upside down over a rooftop with just this expression of, oh God. And it's sort of got his sort of thought process going, well, okay, how did I get here? Well, I guess it all started when, and then you turn the page and then it's like...
Oh, it's
3 days ago.
In media res going straight into flashback.
Not necessarily a flashback, but usually there's elements of like, so the in media res might continue for a while and then flashback gradually, but you still need the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise starting in the middle, you're just starting at a different beginning.
Like Memento,
but
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, very, although that also starts at the end. It's very, these concepts can go together. They can stack. The reason I was thinking about it was because of superhero movies and origins and why there are always origins when you could just start with the superhero. Yeah. They could be in the middle of a crime and you never know how they became
Jones.
Indiana Jones. Raiders of the Lost Ark starts in media res. So does Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which isn't as good.
Although, right.
And Last Crusade. Yeah. Anyway, so...
Star Wars 4, A New Hope.
But, so what I was thinking is, probably should have done this before we started recording, because we're in the show now.
Oh, okay.
This is the show.
This is the show, I'm afraid. I was thinking, do we just act like Laura has always been here and not make a big deal about it, or do we introduce Laura?
We've introduced everyone who's been on We Have Issues, including those of us who did 250 Momcasts before it. It would be a bit rude. And it would be unfair on the rest of us to let Laura off the hook, I think.
Should we? So we shouldn't innovate. No, we shouldn't innovate. It's not worth it.
It's up to you. You're the showrunner.
That's true. It's all on me, isn't it?
You're the Dan Harmon. I like to think of myself as the Chevy Chase of this group.
Really?
You're going to leave because it gets too racist.
My best years were in the 80s.
Oh.
Were they?
No,
really?
Would that make me the Alison Brie?
Yeah, if you like. You have to be one of the girls because we're not going to get tied up in any weirdness.
Yeah. I could do the Yvette Nicole Brown thing of, that's nice.
That's Laura.
Yeah.
Talking.
Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Hi. That was James.
Hello.
And I'm Nick. Laura, who are you? Laura's here this week.
Oh,
she's very kindly stepping in.
A metaphysical question, let's get going with.
I was about to say that's very metaphysical.
What are you?
Yeah, who am I? God, that's a soul-searching question. I'm many things.
To many people.
I've just realised that's the most Alan Partridge I've ever been, isn't it? So, who are you? I'm just going to go over here and clip my nails or something.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I start?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, Laura's comic fan person who is in Southampton, so geographically convenient for us. And she, I guess, is now co-runner of the Southampton Comic Book Club.
Yes.
Which was set up to preclude us, as we
Which
discussed.
was definitely set up. It happens.
I wouldn't know anything about that. I inherited the position. So.
Yeah, fine, that's convenient.
I cannot be held responsible for anything that my predecessors may or may not have done.
That's what the Nazis said.
I bet it's written into their constitution.
But it doesn't.
Charter.
It doesn't work because there are now two people who do the podcast with us who go to the comic book club.
Yeah, that's not going to stop my rampant paranoia, making up little stories.
I think that's because it's us. We're the ones who are left behind, James.
Yeah, I'm feeling increasingly like I was left behind, to be honest with you. Middle age is a terrible thing.
But so anyway, what is it?
It's pretty much, on paper, it's a club where people come to discuss comics. Each month we have a theme. So, for example, one of them was animals in comics. We sometimes have a presentation on the theme, discuss certain things. In practice, it generally has, this is the theme, but we're just all sort of going to shout at each other for a couple of hours. Break in the middle to get more drinks, and then...
It's a bit of a free-for-all, then.
Pretty much, yeah. It's loose structure, but mostly shouting. I
think that's the thing. When you have a thing that happens once a month, because it's once a month, Thursday every month.
Yeah.
Sounds like I've done my research. I just looked it up before we started. But so there's a lot of catching up being done, I assume, because there's like 4 weeks of new comics that none of you have shouted at each other about. 4
weeks of new comics, 4 weeks of news in the sort of wider comic and geek sphere. And also 4 weeks of sort of personal catch up for those of us who sort of haven't seen each other since the last one. So yeah, there's a lot of a lot of shouting at the beginning.
Personal catch up, James, is what people with personal lives do.
Oh.
When we talk about the kids and our wives.
Our kids, yeah, right.
Yeah, our kids, not the kids.
Yeah.
That's other people have personal lives that go in that space.
All right.
That actually are more than just the same thing day after day after day after day. I think there's a bit of repetition, isn't there?
Yeah.
So what, like, they go out and they do, like, what, happy fun things?
Yeah.
Outside of the house, like, with other people about?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that at all.
It sounds like a lot of work, but do you remember when we went to LSCC?
Do you remember when we took LSD?
When we went to LSCC?
Yes, I do. That was a lovely experience.
We have never taken LSD together.
No, nor are we likely to.
Not even at LSCC.
Not even at LSCC. It would have been the right time to do it.
I'd be up for it. Maybe we should do a Patreon, right? And one of the Patreon levels is, if you pay enough, we do LSD together.
I honestly can't think of anything worse.
Really?
I love you, James, but I don't think my brain's plastic enough for LSD.
Wait, hang on a second. Sorry, so you say do LSD together. Would that be you two, or you and whoever contributes a certain amount to the Patreon?
Oh, that could be one of the...
Oh, I wouldn't do LSD with a strange...
If I give you like £1,000, say for instance, I don't have that kind of money, but if I did, and then it's like, for the price of we do LSD together, we go to a park. I don't know how LSD works. We go to a park.
That's how it
procure
works.
some, just sort of sit in the park.
I know, bloke. It's all right. I can get you sorted out. Don't worry.
Honestly, you could probably just go to the park and spend lots of time there, having not slept very much, and
spin around in a circle a few times, and just
either a lot of coffee,
go on the swings,
watching the lights. Oh, that's quite a magical experience watching an ambulance with its lights on when you're using that particular drug. I've been told.
Or just, I think, if you sit in one place for long enough, you could drink lots of coffee. That sometimes makes me feel like. That sometimes brings things back to me a little bit. Or you can not drink any when you've been drinking a lot. That also does it.
The best is something fizzy, so like champagne or something, or Prosecco, and helium balloon.
What does that do?
I don't know. You just get really lightheaded and like, woo!
That's because
nice.
I discovered that at my parents' wedding when I was like 16.
It forces the oxygen out of your lungs and you suffocate and die, and then your friends freak out. What was a fun, enjoyable evening quickly gets out of control, and then everyone's left with the guilt of surviving for the rest of their lives. It's no fun. You're probably better off with ecstasy.
You've definitely made me rethink some things
Good,
about
I'm
my
glad.
life.
Kids.
Helium, was
just
it
say
your
no.
parents' wedding, did you say?
Yeah, my dad and my stepmom.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was fun.
So I
Once again, we're feeling.
So anyway, Comic Book Club. Also, you do what is it? There's probably you've got a YouTube channel, a review channel. Because every term for that is a useless one.
You should plug it. You should plug it now. That's what you should do. Plug it. Plug your YouTube
it's probably
channel.
got more people watching it than we have listening.
I don't know.
More than 3?
I got it retweeted by Jimmy Palmiotti, so that was fun.
Oh, we like Jimmy Palmiotti.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy.
He is nice.
Yeah, no, it's Laura Meyer, Maier. It's a weird surname. It's pretty much, at the minute, I do Loot Monster unboxings. Loot Monster being like a loot box that you get delivered to your house.
Like Loot Crate.
Yeah, but way better because my friend runs it.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so I got this
really?
T-shirt. Actually, I'm wearing an Arrow T-shirt that says "You have failed this city."
And how would we find your friends? What was it?
Loot Monster.
Lootmonster.com.
.co.uk. Yeah.
How would we? You're saying how would we find this? And in my position as showrunner, I'm thinking, how do we exploit this new connection we seem to have made? But anyway, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and also I do Laura Reads, which is every Wednesday I pick a random comic. Well, I say random, it's not that random. I pick a comic that seems like it's going to be interesting for better or worse, and I read it and sort of post a video of me reacting appropriately dramatically to everything within.
Reaction videos.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
We did.
My daughter likes unboxing videos a lot.
Yeah,
she's really into it. I mean, it's all like My Little Pony stuff. It's good.
Oh, I love My Little Pony.
So does she.
She's
got a tattoo. She's 4. No, I'm joking.
We did a reaction video once for the other podcast where they went on YouTube where we James and I had a pepperami pot noodle.
Oh, pepperami and a pot noodle. We did our pepperami. Yeah.
While recording the other podcast.
Yeah. That sounds delicious.
I don't think many people have watched it, but it was fun to do.
It was mostly me. It was a fat man eating a pepperami and a pot noodle. It's like, that's not...
I'm going to watch it when I get home now, because that sounds like a recipe I could definitely make.
I felt it was very, very tasty, and then all of the moisture left both of our bodies, so I felt a little bit weird for the rest of the night, because there's a lot of salt in that combination.
You made my pot noodle far too wet as well. I like I like the pot.
You like the sticky pot noodles?
Yeah, I like a minimum amount of water.
Yeah, you get kind of stodgy and...
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I always have a little bit of bread just in case, soak it up nice, and you get an extra treat that way.
Do you think when our parents came up with their surnames, because that's how it works, any of them thought that we might potentially want to be Googleable at some point in our future? Because you've got Maya, which isn't pronounced Nina Maya, Maya as in Nina Maya, from 24. I won't say what happens to her, because it's a huge spoiler if you haven't seen the first season.
Yeah. And people can never say it when they see it written down. They always think it's Maya or Mare.
But there's an R on the end.
Well,
People are idiots.
You've got Harold Faltermeyer.
Harold Faltermeyer of Axel F fame.
That's it, yeah.
And then I'm Papa Constantinou. James is the only one with a normal surname.
People want to put a Y on the end of mine, though. It's an IE.
People are arseholes.
Yeah.
It occurs to me now, because we've kind of introduced Laura, that we've been talking for an awfully long time. I've failed to be a showrunner, and we haven't talked about... We talked a bit about comics. We haven't started reviewing comics.
And that is why you fail.
Shall we start reviewing comics?
You have failed this city.
I have. See, okay, so have you watched Arrow yet, James?
I'm afraid it didn't take.
I saw the first one and I really liked it. The first episode. I was surprised by how good the action in it was for what it was, but I don't know if it continued with that or if it was just something they threw budget at in the first one.
I actually hated the first couple of seasons to the point where I was like, I can't watch it. Because it was, as far as I was concerned, it was 25% just perfection and 75% teenage bullshit drama, relationship problems. I don't know if I can be with you right now, Oliver. Like, all this. And I was like, that's just awful. And it felt bloated by this romantic drama that nobody asked for. And then in the third season, it's suddenly gotten really good.
That's after 48 episodes or whatever it is, that might be Stockholm Syndrome.
I admire your perseverance.
No, I wasn't persevering. It was like my husband would have it on and I'd just be like, I'd go from kind of, oh, you watching that again, to sort of like turning around at my computer and kind of like just watching it really avidly. And then I was like, actually, I think I might give this a second chance. So, and it's you know, it's been really good. That's
like me who don't tell the bride. I call it, at that point, I call it doorway TV. I've often called it doorway TV because it shows that when I was with a previous girlfriend, she would watch Wife Swap, and I would walk into the room from the room that my computer was in, and I'd go, "Oh God, what are you watching?" with the intention of leaving the room, but then I just stay in the doorway for like the whole episode. So now, but it's become more than doorway TV. It's become sofa TV.
I generally only watch it if it's on, but it's definitely like, oh, it's on. Okay, I'm sitting and watching, you know, all my attention is devoted to this now. So, yeah.
I was listening to a podcast called Travis Bickle on the Riviera that I really, really like recently, and they were talking about Arrow, and they were basically saying that it's amazing, but it's such a masculine and sort of homoerotic show. There's loads of just imagery of these gorgeous men like working out and stuff like that, and that a lot of the female characters, they're kind of there, but even the romantic lead, for a lot of the episodes, they don't really know what to do with her. But is that true?
I think
it sounds amazing, to be honest.
Definitely in the beginning, I think, but I think in later, that might be why I like the later seasons, actually, because there's a bit where, the character of Oliver Queen, the Arrow, is kind of infamous for doing the salmon ladder, which is this sort of ladder with a pole, and using only upper body strength, he sort of jumps to the next rung with the pole. And he does this shirtless, it's very fan servicey, I guess homoerotic, or if you're into men, just erotic.
Or just erotic, yeah.
And
that's a really good point, isn't it? When there's images of men on the TV with their tops out, we automatically go to homoeroticism,
because straight men are the default.
Yeah.
We're the default, James.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. That's good.
Yeah.
Which is why you just talked over Laura. She was in the middle of explaining something.
I'll be over here checking my privilege.
That's just the patriarchy. It's fine. I'm used to it.
So the salmon leap, which I know because it used to be on that ninja, that like
Ninja Warrior
thing. Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, so like in recent episodes, they've had the character Felicity, who's basically the tech girl who just kind of sits at her computer and does magic, and she's just someone's visiting. It's a crossover from the Flash, so it's one of the Flash's sort of team, and she comes to visit. And she's like, points at the salmon ladder, and she's like, "What's that for?" And Felicity just goes, "Distracting me from work."
Oh.
So it's nice. It's like they might not have had any idea how to treat female characters in the first season, but as it went on, they kind of went, yeah, women just, how can you look at Oliver Queen shirtless doing his exercises and not be like,
it's just objectification. That's just exactly the same as the male gaze, only it's the female gaze.
Yeah, but the thing is, there's nothing really, I don't think there's anything wrong with either. People do view other people based on sexual attractiveness. It's actually just nicer that now women are getting kind of recognition as sort of like, and we also like to look at men.
Yeah.
Rather than, I don't think the solution would be to cover women up and not look at women in that way. I think it's better that it's sort of equal opportunity.
Objectification.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
I've got a solution for that. What you want to do is be taking libido stripping antidepressants. And
does that work?
Completely cure you of all that bollocks. I was I saw a quote attributed to George Melly, the jazz impresario, the other day, who claimed when he became impotent and lost his libido at 70 that it was like being unchained from a lunatic.
I've heard something like that before. But I like the Lunatics, one of the only people around that I get joy from.
I'm done. I'm
if
40.
my libido is a lunatic.
I don't need my libido. I'm 40. It doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, we might as well just
almost
end it.
Couple of weeks.
Let's just
still plenty of shopping time before my 40th.
Opt in on chemical castration. We can probably get it done on the NHS. Okay, so Arrow is good. I should try and watch it. Is what I'm getting there. I want to get back into Person of Interest. People keep talking about that, but I have noticed in the last few weeks that for the first time in years there are shows that I am waiting for. Like I'm actually sad when they don't happen, and they're both comic shows, but they're both really comic shows I wasn't expecting. I'm really liking Constantine.
Yeah,
I really like Constantine. It's a bit dumb the way it's written sometimes, but it's so much fun. And it had some people the guy who's in Lost and Justified and stuff in the most recent one. It's really good. And Peggy, it's not called Peggy Carter.
Agent Carter.
Agent Carter is
Peggy
amazing.
As we call it in our house, Agent Carter and the Agents of Carter.
Is that what they might? Yeah, they might as well. She's literally the only competent person in it, I think.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's so just fun and at the same time, like the action's quite good and I like it. It's good. We were going to talk about comics. We'll talk about comics.
I'll refer you to my comments. I still I'll go back to what I said the other way. The talk as if comics are now somehow validated by being in a better medium is just frustrating to me.
Because there's not a better medium. Comics is the best medium.
It's not about better. It's different. It's a different medium.
But it is the best medium.
What, TV?
Comics.
Oh, comics. Yeah, I like comics.
Can you, we have been, I'm looking at Laura now, listener. Okay. James and I have been podcasting for
6 years, I don't know, 6 years?
2, yeah, and that's like normally at least one episode of something a week. Quite often 2 shows for the last year, 2 years, I think now.
Last 2 years, yeah.
It's like we don't even talk the same language sometimes. It's crazy.
Who am I, more importantly?
Who wants to talk about their comics first?
Well, as the showrunner, you get to make those decisions, don't you?
I think James should.
I don't think on a podcast having a sort of democratic discussion.
I think James should. I think James should. Yeah. James should talk about his comics.
I think you should because then I have someone to learn from.
Exactly. Well, you're Jesus. I'd probably switch off for the next 10 minutes if I was you. Okay, so I've continued my odyssey through Comixology, which I'm so into now. It's unreal. It's
taken a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, but I'm totally into it. And actually, 2 of the comics I'm going to talk about today, I think illustrate why I like Comixology so much right now. It's about the depth and the breadth of comics that you get to read. So Comixology obviously I think the access to distribution is easier through Comixology rather than getting yourself on. Yes, Nick?
No, carry on.
Well,
I was just
look like you're about to put your.
We haven't really worked out a system for. Oh yes, I like that. I want to say something to that isn't just talking over each other. So I started to put my hand up, and that distracted James from his point.
At Comic Book Club, we have the conch, and if you touch the conch, that's a point. If you hold the conch, you speak. If you just touch the conch, then you just make your point, and then.
Now, was the character on Grange Hill called Conch or Gonch?
I think he was called Gonch, but it's a Lord of the Flies reference.
Yeah.
You might want to reread the book, though. I'm not sure it ultimately works out that well.
Again, this is something I inherited from my predecessor.
Right, okay. No, I mean, it's cool. Do any of you wear glasses? Because that person should keep an eye out. It doesn't end well for the guy who wears glasses in Lord of the Flies.
Is that like Lord of the Rings, is it?
It's kind of almost exactly the same.
They have to get a fly back to Mount Doom.
Yeah. Yes. Comixology, length and breadth, width and breadth. Those are the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. I went into the comic shop yesterday, into Forbidden Planet yesterday, at lunchtime, which was about, like, the comics had only been out for a few hours. I think Laura turned up just as I was leaving to go and get her comics.
I did.
There were a lot of signs on the shelves that said new this week, and there was nothing there because they'd sold out. Because comic retailers are having to order such slim numbers on anything slightly out of the ordinary that quite often it just disappears. If you're not standing ordering it, you're boned. You're just not going to see it.
It was like the Milo Manara cover of Spider-Woman, the controversial one. I actually wanted that variant, and I went to go ask Chris to see if I could get it. And he said no, because they're basically Diamond included one Minara variant for every 50 ordered, and he was like, and we're not going to order that much.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not going to order 50? That seems like a small number, but then I guess...
It really isn't. Well, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is, it's rough. So, comics variant covers are, oh god, that's a whole other thing. I won't talk about that right now. But Comixology, that's not an issue. Is it, James? James, I'm throwing it to you.
You finished interrupting me now. Honestly, right? I was right into my flow then. I thought, oh no, I feel good as well. I was like, like sometimes when you podcast, you vlog and stuff, and then, I'm really...
Do we call it vlog?
I don't call it vlog.
Okay.
I'm almost 40. I have to call it vlog.
Vodcast?
That's what they call it in Reader's Digest magazine.
I call it my little videos.
Oh, your little videos. I have never worked out if this actually amuses James, what I'm doing now, so I'm going to let him carry on.
Though, I'd have been doing well if I'd got your specific nomenclature for it, rather than what it's called in the wider community.
How do you pronounce that word?
Feel poorly.
Nomenclature.
Yeah. But it felt like I was right on the top of the wave. I was doing really well.
Do that again.
In the zone.
That wasn't great radio. I'm sorry, listener.
I've totally stacked now. It's unbelievable. I feel like my surfboard is repeatedly beating me over the top of the head now, and a shark is biting my ass.
Can we establish then that like in future, if I put my hand up, it isn't that I want to talk straight away, but I don't.
Don't stop waving your arms about. But it's fine. I'm fine with it. That's how it works. That's how conversation works. Is someone to be saying something, and you'll have an idea, and then you'll interject, and then other people say stuff. It's brilliant. I love conversation.
Sounds complicated. I feel like I'll just get like...
So anyway, as I was saying, I'm really enjoying Comixology at the moment as much as anything because of the width and breadth of the books that you're able to look at. I've looked at, as I seem to do quite often, I am genuinely interested in all ages books. Scarlett's slowly starting to get into comic books. It's something I like to try and encourage without being pushy, so I like to sort of have a look and see what's out there. So what caught my eye this week was a Boombox issue 1. I think it was at the $1.99 price point. I forget, actually. I should have written it down. And it's a title called Help Us Great Warrior by Madéleine Flores, with colours by Trillian Gunn. Was a very popular Tumblr webcomic.
Oh.
Prior to this, which I found out by using the internet.
That's a thing that I've heard about.
Yeah. And essentially this follows a very strange looking character. It's very, for want of a better way to describe this, it kind of looks a bit Adventure Timey.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if it was like a Bravest Warriors kind of spin-off.
Yeah. Could
is it the Cartoon Network? Is it the Cartoon Network that are doing a lot of that stuff?
Yeah, Bravest Warriors was made by the same people who did Adventure Time. It's more geared to sort of early to mid teenagers than children.
And I think Boom do a lot of the comics of those books, don't they?
Both.
I don't think that's the case because they normally, I know this isn't a franchise; it's from a webcomic, so I mean, it may be influenced by that sort of thing. And I think it looks like a lot of the influences that appear in a lot of the manga style influences that you see in that. So it's a very colourful, very surreal story about a very strange sort of, basically looks like a large fat egg with a bow and a mouth, being summoned by a strange character. And then essentially the first issue follows this great warrior through her world that she lives in, meets a sidekick. I can't remember what she calls sidekick. It's a weird character, a weird rabbit. What does she call it? It's really stupid. Something like Bath or something like that.
Hair?
But not Bath. No, Bath. That's where you go to. Buckets.
Buckets.
Yeah. So I'd gone to like something to contain water.
Yeah.
So she's called Buckets. You went to Hair.
I thought you said rabbit.
Bath. Oh, no, it's a rabbit. Yeah.
I've been listening to what you've been saying, but I've never.
Can it make sense yet?
I've never noticed that my beard is kind of all white and grey and black, and it's just a mix. It's a complete mix. Yeah. But James has this cool, just white streak down one side, and
like a rogue beard.
You're like this as well.
Yeah, exactly like a rogue beard. That's what I was thinking.
I found out the other day I can do a Kitchener.
hipster swirls.
Look, that worked.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, I really like it.
You look like you're about to tie a damsel to a train track.
I might do. I did that the other night. I was watching Breaking Bad in bed with the wife.
I'm watching Breaking Bad. That's you.
Yeah, I'm so hipster. I'm 5 years after everyone else.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to watch it.
I decided I was going to start
I've decided.
I watched series 1 and yeah.
That's good fun. But to be fair, my life's falling apart at the moment, so it's quite nice to watch Walter's life falling apart. And it's kind of, oh yeah, maybe I will make meth. But
you don't have the chemistry know-how.
I reckon I could pick it. I would pick stuff up pretty quick. I'm pretty I'm quite a fast learner.
Except kitchen fitting.
Well, the thing is, though, I say that, it's just, it seems like a very big thing. I'd be daunted about doing it. I reckon if someone showed me how to do it, I could do it, but it's just the heavy lifting. And if I don't get to sit down every 10 to 15 minutes. Anyway.
Buckets.
we were in bed and I was watching Breaking Bad and I kept it, she couldn't look at me. So, that's the end of that anecdote. So yeah, buckets. And then, apparently she lives in a village with lots of other funny coloured eggs with bows on their heads and one human looking character. So it's kind of this weird, surreal, dreamlike reality that they sort of create in these sort of things. But what undershoots all of that is this sort of quite wry, quirky sort of humour. And, the character, the great warrior herself, has these sort of funny little asides, which are sort of quite pithy at times. It's quite fun, but it was weird. And frankly, I don't think I'm the sort of market these sort of books are aimed at. So I enjoyed it because it's very cutesy, but it's I don't think I'm in touch enough with the influences and the culture that spawns this sort of comic book to really totally get why it's cool. There's some Godzilla stuff and all that.
Does Scarlett like it? Did you read it?
I haven't read it with Scarlett yet. I kept it to myself because I'm very mean.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like it could turn into something. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what the sort of the story's going to turn into. Because there's a cliffhanger kind of ending. There's like a reveal, if you like, at the end. Spoilers, but. Yeah, it's good fun, and I think actually it's less than £2. It's well worth checking out if you're a Comixology user or if you happen to see it on the shelves, which unfortunately with some of these, I'm not sure they always make it to our comic book shelves over here. And there's also, back matter, there's some what looks like reprints of Madéleine Flores' web strips, which were good fun. To be fair, a lot of this it's a very surreal world, but it's just about witty dialogue.
Did it make you feel old?
Everything makes you feel old.
Okay, right, okay, yeah.
We should stop obsessing about that. It's only going to get worse over the next couple of weeks.
Laura's lucky. I think if you're maybe a couple of years younger, that would be, I think, apparently, it has been brought to my attention that I mention how young Jessie is quite a lot.
To be fair, she, without revealing her true age and thus potentially ruining some pub trips, she's very young.
Very few publicans listen to this.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
We think. We don't know, really.
Very few people listen to it, so you've got to imagine, what are the chances?
If you're a publican who listens to this, get in touch. We always like feedback.
We should stop talking it down as well, listener. You are part of a wide and ranging community, and you're welcome.
We have at least 3 million listeners.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, the stats don't bear that out, but who really trusts web stats?
Second book is apparently from a publisher.
Is it? It's from a publisher.
There was that sentence wasn't finished. There was no full stop there at all.
And
there was a brief pause, maybe a comma.
With the rise in self-publishing,
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right.
It being from a publisher is actually noteworthy.
Yeah, it's called
Fair Play.
Back.
Thank you. It's published by Nick is an Arsehole Comics. No, Epee Comics, EPPE, and was 69p, which is what attracted me to this particular comic.
Because it's the funniest number.
Also because it has a very intriguing cover as well. It's called Not Deceased, and it's written by a guy called Eric Perez, who there's apparently a famous wrestler called Eric Perez, but I don't think it's him because it certainly wasn't mentioned on his Wikipedia page.
Is that Perez or Perez?
Well, it's Perez and no accent.
Oh, I don't know then. To be honest, I don't know if there even is a surname Perez. It just seems like there should be. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Thanks for helping. The art is by a chap called Phil Ensberg. And the cover that intrigued me so much is an elderly black gentleman, stepping out of his coffin as they're trying to fill in the grave with soil. So I thought, is it
a zombie comic?
Well,
sorry.
Literally just about to say the word zombie as you said the word zombie. So I thought, this might be a zombie comic, could be interesting. The story is about a chap. It's on guided view. Right, I'm shutting the iPad.
Gonna wing it. Yeah. Gonna freeball it.
The story really is about a guy. It's a little kind of quantum leapy that apparently this guy who's working with the police is able to inhabit the bodies of the recently deceased, but it tends to happen at random.
Right.
So we first meet him, and he's in the reanimated corpse of a recently shot gangland thug. And for the majority of the comic, it's about him trying to get to his contact within the police. It's clear from some other characters that we meet that he's been away for a period of 4 years, and he must be some sort of agent, but we're not entirely clear, because I was reading it on my own. There wasn't a group of us.
No, but it's good. It's good practice to say you're talking for the audience, and you're making it seem like. It's not just you in a room by yourself. It's fine.
That's reinflated my ego. I feel a little bit better. So,
I don't know what I'm talking about though, so I could be wrong.
So, it's not entirely clear exactly what his purpose is, but it's a fun enough trip. It's really interesting. It's very much an indie comic book. It has an indie comic book sensibility. It's very nicely written. The art is it's difficult to. It's a little bit crude in so much as. It's not quite as refined necessarily as you would expect to see in a mainstream comic book. Yeah. Whether it's an artistic choice, I can't tell. I like it because it tells the story extremely effectively, but not necessarily my preferred sort of style. But it's good for all that. And
how are you enjoying that guided view over there, James?
I'm hating it. It's really, that's thrown me as much as anything.
He's been randomly swiping at it like a bear swiping at a picture of some honey and getting confused.
No, totally. It's I really don't know how to use these. It's why we have to invite younger people onto the podcast to show them how to use the technology that I apparently I possess. Yeah, it was a good value at 69p. I think if I'd paid like £2.99 for it in a comic book shop, I don't know whether I'd have necessarily been quite so enthusiastic about it, but it's good.
Yeah.
But without blowing my socks off, So I appreciate the work that the individuals have put into it, and it's well worth reading. I think if it was maybe coming out from, obviously because it's from an independent publisher by independent creators, I have a tendency to be more forgiving because this is people, they're not doing it for their job. They're doing it to learn a craft, learn a trade, if you like, and they're doing it because they want to express themselves and they want to tell their story. So it's I think I'm definitely more forgiving than I otherwise would be. But at 69p on Comixology, I think it's well worth checking out, well worth reading, because it is quite wry, it is quite funny, and it has the nice irreverence that I think a lot of UK independent. I tell you who I thought about when I was reading it, was sort of has the same sort of tongue-in-cheek humour that you see in George Beadham's Jambo.
Oh, we like George Beadham and
like
his
George
Jambo
very much, yeah.
It contributes to the show sometimes.
Yeah. And I hope George wouldn't mind me saying is I like his art, but there's a looseness to it where he's trying to refine his style.
I think the thing about webcomics and now the newer models of distribution like that is people are learning in public, aren't they? Mm-hmm. I think George would admit that his art at the beginning of Jambo compared to his art now is completely different as well. So it's sort of
he was posting some stuff on Twitter the other day, and you can see how he's progressed as an artist through the last few years. So he's become, and that's the nice thing actually about the Comixology platform, allowing you to publish and reach a wider audience. So you get to watch people learning their craft over time as well. So it's good.
Yeah. What else?
I was going to actually bring mine, and then I completely forgot. I got the Harley Quinn Valentine's Day special, which is, it says one shot on the cover, and I love Harley Quinn, I do, But she has so many one-shots, I don't think you can call them one-shots anymore. It's like shotgun pellets. It's like there is one for every occasion.
She's basically, in terms of the way they publish her and Deadpool are really, and the way they're treated, the way the characters are treated are really similar.
The kind of fourth wall breaking or leaning, depending, We
can literally do anything we want with this character, sort of thing.
But the thing is, I like that because that actually makes her kind of immune to DC continuity, which I'm not a big fan of since the New 52. It's like, I get why they did it, but it's not for me. But yeah, no, Harley Quinn is kind of just, costume change aside, pretty much impervious to that. So it's the closest thing to reading pre-2011 DC.
Is that Palmiotti and
Justin Gray?
Yeah, no, Amanda Connor.
Amanda Connor writing. And then
with
I looked
Chad
at it,
Hardin on art. Which,
is it just one artist on the whole thing?
Yeah, they do for the specials. They've taken a lot of extra artists. For the issue 0, they did the fan search as well, and a bunch of other artists. But yeah, no, the primary artist is Chad Hardin, which I was kind of like, I do really like his art, but I was kind of a little bit disappointed, only in the sense that the whole reason I bought this book was Amanda Connor's name on the cover, and I absolutely love her art. So when she's writing, I'm like, oh, that's like, you're really good at writing. Can you not draw stuff?
She is amazing. She's really good, isn't she?
I love her faces. I love that. It's like, that's what, when I'm cosplaying, that's like what I like to try and do is sort of the faces. Because a lot of the time you're wearing the costume, but you're just sort of doing the standard little model pout. But I like the way that she has characters who are like, pulling ridiculous faces, and, it seems a bit more human and a bit less sort of model of perfection kind of thing.
Her and Jimmy Palmiotti are really interesting because they kind of, a lot of the stuff they do a lot of the stuff she does in her art and he does in his comics, but also online, anyone else would just get ripped to shreds by the changing tides of gender representation and stuff like that. I don't know if he still does it, and if he stopped, I imagine it was because he was bored, but not because he felt uncomfortable. But Jimmy Palmiotti used to post like cheesecake photos once a week, one day a week. He'd post like a load of pin-ups and nudes and stuff like that, and they've some of the comics he's worked on are quite bawdy as well, and
Power Girl. He's synonymous with, isn't he?
I think it helps, though, that Amanda Connor drew Power Girl. Yeah. So if they want to do the whole kind of, well, that's sexist, then they've got a female artist going, well, I drew it. So.
And she's pretty in control, and it's not like she's just doing what she's told. She's got a lot of creative control. Her and Adam Hughes are the two people who people don't seem to mind what they draw because their characters are quite real. There is a fun to it, but also the expressions are they're not cookie cutter characters.
Yeah.
Know? Sorry, we started going on about Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor. What
Never
else?
A bad conversation when it veers off into Connor Palmiotti. So there was that. I also got the new X-Men, the one that's the X-Women.
G. Willow Wilson writing.
Yes, yeah, which I really actually like her. She does seem to be like the woman Marvel are putting in everything now. It's like, we need a female book. G. Willow Wilson, what are you doing? Too much, man. We are doing this as well. But yeah, it's really good. It's sort of got the team underground fighting weird mutated creatures, standard X-Men stuff.
I heard her talking about it on Rachel and Mars Explain the X-Men a few weeks ago, and it sounded interesting, but I thought it was happening. I didn't realise it was happening.
Like now.
I knew she was doing it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was in the future, so I saw I think it's the last issue of it was on the shelves today. Was it the final issue or the?
No, this one was like the second one in the current arc. So yeah, that's the one that's out at the minute. The one with the cover that's like, I actually really loved the cover because it was all black, and then it just has sort of Storm kind of trapped in the wall, sort of, underground, sort of pushing at the walls. And the rest of the cover's just black, and I really like that. I thought
it was really striking. I thought it was because she's only on a very short run for that. It's like it's that story.
Yeah. Okay.
And And I actually, I saw that and thought it was the last part of it, so I didn't pick it up because I thought that'd be lame.
Yeah.
But I could have probably bought it. Never
Yeah.
mind. So anyway, was it good?
It was very good. The one bit that kind of got me a bit was it sort of opens with Psylocke's inner monologue, and it basically goes like, she's sort of saying, I've always liked it when people refer to me as Psylocke on missions because someone called Psylocke, she's got her shit together basically, and I'm thinking, your name's Psylocke?
It's not.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like Captain America, that's a name that's like, yes, he is. We will follow him, and it's sort of like Psylocke. What's a Psylocke?
That is a bit odd.
Is that like a special safe precaution? Yeah, but that was the only real complaint. Was just like.
That's an odd line. Clearly, there was a desire to say something about that character, but the character's name in history didn't. Because I think she had that name when she was a English Rose character.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really mean Asian American running around with psychic blades or anything. It means something anyway. If it means anything.
I think she came out of the era where it was sort of combined badass syllables to make a name. Yeah.
That was my era. Anyway.
So yeah, that was the X-Men, Harley Quinn, Captain Marvel, obviously, which I did my video about on YouTube, so I won't talk about it anymore.
I'll link to it.
Thank you. And there was another Spider-Woman as well, which was sort of wrapping up the end of what she was doing in Spider-Verse. Yeah. And it kind of ends with her going, I'm going to get a new costume. And you're like,
because that's been that's been shown around,
sort of announced,
previewed, I think.
Which I like the idea because she's got the sort of wings on the back of her jacket, so she sort of puts her elbows in and the wings clip on, presumably using magnets or some such. But yeah, and I was like, that's a really good idea. And then I tried to do it, and it's like, if you look, I'm doing like a dinosaur kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like in the heat of battle, she's going to like have to glide and sort of do a little dinosaur and go. So, yeah.
Okay, but that could be like a new catchphrase. It's a very 1980s cartoon sort of a thing to say.
Yeah. Dinosaur, go!
And go!
Yeah.
in the Marvel movie universe, she's been played by Donald Glover. Is that what I was reading?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's
I reckon he'd make an amazing Jessica Drew.
He really, really would.
Yeah.
I think I've been reading Spider-Verse, and I've been reading quite a lot of the other books around it. And I think it's really weird launching a series that's going to be an ongoing with crossover issues, but it has been a really good crossover, I think. So
I think it was a little bit weird, and it was also a bit strange because Spider-Woman, other than the name, hasn't really ever had much to do with the Spider-Man mythology of like. Of the whole Uncle Ben and May Parker and all that sort of, because all the alternate Spider-Men are sort of, there's one that's Aunt May, there's a couple that's Uncle Ben, there's one that's Peter Parker and MJ's daughter, and then there's one that's Gwen Stacy, and Jess Drew's kind of separate from that, but has the sort of the name in common. So it does sort of seem a little bit like they were reaching. Maybe they should have thrown Black Widow in there as well, just because.
Yeah, I think Dan's. There's this. I've been reading a lot of Dan Slott's Spider-Man over the last couple of years, and I think what he's been really good at is making the best of some pretty nonsensical stuff that came before. I think the whole Spider Totem thing is probably a hangover from J. Michael. I think J. Michael Straczynski created that.
Yeah, wasn't it called Coming Home or something?
Going Home, I only read a couple of issues and then just gave up. Yeah, with Morlan.
I actually really liked it. I got it as one of those like Marvel collection part works. I think it was like the first one, and it was actually really good. I liked it. It delved more into the whole thing of Spider-Man never slept through the whole arc and never stopped, and the arc took about 48 hours. So it's as time went on, he was just getting more and more tired and like, no, I have to get up and keep going because otherwise people will die. And I think that's something that doesn't really get explored enough in comics, well, especially hero comics. It generally seems to be taken for granted that they can just go from fight to fight to fight and
They never go to the toilet. They never go to sleep.
That's the problem, though. How can you? I mean, like with a character like Superman.
Yeah.
It's like what he could
super bladder.
How does he possibly have? But how does he have the time to have an alter ego? Because if he can hear people in distress, people are in distress all the time. He would just be constantly just solving all the things,
or constantly just ignoring them.
Yeah,
because he's learned the number one rule is that you sometimes you just have to look after yourself and take time for yourself.
Yeah, you have
if you're
to.
Superman. Either help or get off. I mean, he is an alien after all. I mean, if you're not going to help, we're going to have to ask you to leave.
Why did you go all, like...
racist?
Comedy Jew, yeah. What's that about?
I hate Kryptonians. And I'm actually standing on an anti-Kryptonian platform at this year's general election.
Right, okay.
Get them out.
I think
bloody Kryptonians coming over here, taking our jobs.
Saving our damsels in distress. Always a damsel in it. I don't even know what a damsel is. It's a fly, isn't it?
I don't know, but you can get jam. Damsel jam.
No, damson jam.
Oh, is that a different thing? But they sound so similar. We were
damsel
talking
is a type of plum.
About there's a restaurant. There's a restaurant that does gluten-free burgers that I think we're going to go to because one of my colleagues is a gluten-free person. He doesn't have any gluten in his whole body, and so there was some discussion today of what pasture raised meat was. Everyone misheard it. So some people thought I said pasteurized. Other people were convinced that these were animals raised on pasta. It was very confusing. I'll probably cut this bit.
I still don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Do I not enunciate? Is this a problem? Is this why I just assume...
I don't, whatever you're trying to say about the meat, I don't understand. Do you mean pasteurized?
No, it's pastures in grass.
Like
it's grass-fed.
Pastures.
Pastures.
Yeah, pastures. In pastures.
So basically you can only say it properly if you're doing a Matt Berry voice.
Pastures.
Pastures.
For my part, I thought you said pasta raised, as in they were exposed to sort of, a religious fellow who was, guiding them towards the path of righteousness.
So pasture, and pasture.
I think we've discovered
pasture.
You do on occasion have an idiosyncratic way of pronouncing certain things.
An idiosyncratic way of pronouncing things and a monotone voice.
Sorry, I'd fallen asleep. What?
So, Spider-Woman. So good. You enjoyed it?
Yeah. Yeah, cool. It's all right. And I'm looking forward to the next issue where she gets a new costume and the crossover's over. That's really like the first 4 issues, I think, were the sort of soft start, and then issue 5 is going to be the beginning. Yeah. So
it's a little bit odd. Is it Dennis Hopeless? I think it's Dennis Hopeless writing it.
Yeah, and Greg Land, who for some reason does pretty good interior art but shitty covers.
Without getting into, because there's a whole lot that can be said about Greg Land, but without getting into all of that, I found it interesting. His first couple of issues of Spider-Woman, because I'm not up to date on it, actually looked all right.
Yeah.
It was all set on an alien world, on alien worlds where weird stuff was going on and stuff, but it actually looked quite nice. His line was really nice. I guess he was drawing stuff that couldn't be photo referenced that well, so he was actually having to work at it. I don't know.
That's good. But no, it's weird. It struck me as bizarre, the controversy about the Milo Manara cover, and everyone was complaining because they were saying, oh, it's not that she's over-sexualized, it's that it's a bad drawing. Look, her neck's all out to the side. And I'm like, but if you look at the Greg Land cover, he's drawn one of her legs so she looks like an amputee. Like the bottom half of her leg is clearly meant to be sort of behind the top half, but it's tapering, so it does actually look like she's not got anything below the knee. And I'm like, but if it's really about, accuracy, why are we not,
why are we not picking on this guy who's doing things monthly?
Although that's ridiculous. It sounds like that. If you extrapolate that argument far enough along, then essentially what they're saying is they want Alex Ross to do all art, all comics ever, so everything looks completely anatomically correct.
Yeah.
It's
in an
a drawing,
ideal world,
man.
yes.
I actually really like John Cassaday's art, and I really liked the first issue of Star Wars when I read it. and then someone pointed out online that one of his stormtroopers, the arm seems to be coming out the bottom of the helmet or something, and now I can't not see it.
I really like that Star Wars as well.
Yeah, it works though. I mean, and you'll talk about Darth Vader in a minute, and the artist,
we will talk about Darth Vader in a minute.
No, I butt in. I forget the name of the artist on Darth Vader has a better grasp of likenesses. But the art in Star Wars, it flows really nicely. The action scenes work really well. It makes the book travel at a really decent speed, you know? So it's...
John Cassaday's got bags of style, is the thing. And his style is so nice that I think maybe you don't notice that. And Stormtroopers are probably hard to draw. I don't know.
Stormtroopers going around knocking their heads on everything all the time. So Stormtroopers are idiots.
Maybe they are just disproportionate. Should we talk about that? Should we talk about Darth Vader? Shall we?
If you like, yeah.
Because I was a bit nonplussed by Star Wars. It was all right.
I enjoyed it.
And then I realised that there was too much Star Wars in that first issue, and it tired me out.
Yeah, I think it fed my Star Wars fanboy beautifully. I really enjoyed it.
I also I don't think Scotty Young covers work. I got the Scotty Young cover because if there is one, I'll normally get it.
Is that the Lego? Cover?
No, it looks like it's a Lego cover, but I think it's a Scotty Young. It's one of his kiddie covers.
No, it's not.
That's kind of cute though.
For a Scotty Young cover, it's not. See, this is another thing I like about Comixology. I don't give a monkeys about a cover on Comixology. It's brilliant.
Okay.
I only care what's on the inside, man.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure it works on that. I mean, it's cute. It's cute, but then it's not very. There's too much going. Anyway, so Darth Vader #1. My relationship with Star Wars is weird. We don't have to get into that. We won't get into that.
Did it leave you at the altar?
Yeah, well, it might as well have done, frankly.
What, in 1999?
You two both found your lifelong love so far when you were quite young. I found Star Wars, and it turned out that it was a cheat. It was a cheat, and it cheated on me around the special editions. Anyway, we don't have to get into that. So, because I'm by far not the only person who feels that way. But I do like Kieron Gillen, and this is a nice looking book, and I figure I might as well try all of these. And it's really good. I liked it. It's written by Kieron Gillen. It's art by Salvador Larroca with colour by Edgar Delgado. When you don't know artists so well, it's difficult to know how they're apportioning the work up. So, some colorists end up putting loads of detail onto pencils and inks and other times it's the artist who does that. I don't know how it's mixed up, but the art looks great in this. I think it's Salvador Larroca putting most of the work in on that side of things, but the colour's really good too. It starts with this, it starts with the crawl, the traditional Star Wars crawl, but probably because Kieron Gillen is great and also a smart ass, but it might have been a decision that they made at editorial. I don't know.
Was the sorry, just to interrupt. The main Star Wars comic, which I reviewed it, but I reviewed it on Comixology, has the crawl as well. And actually, I love reading comics on paper more generally, but reading it on a computer was amazing because she had if you go back to the beginning,
and it's the whole logo,
and just turn the pages slowly, so you've got a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then you sort of go, click next page,
with the
and
film,
then you've got
and it's the logo.
Yeah, and it was like it got to the point I could actually hear the music in my head.
Oh yeah,
did it do that on?
Amazing.
Because you read it on Comixology.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does.
It's amazing. That's really. I wouldn't have even considered that, but that's amazing. Because I've said this often. Episode 1, when I watched it at the cinema, it totally worked for me because it served up moments like that had a resonance with me often enough that I ignored so much other stuff when I watched it at the cinema. Anyway,
we all did, Nick. It happened. It was a shared experience.
So. But it seems like a Kieron Gillen wrinkle, but the crawl at the beginning of this is very funny. I don't know if it's going to be laugh out loud funny for everyone, but it's basically the events at the end of Star Wars: A New Hope as seen through the prism of the Empire. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of and I guess it's only one real joke in it, but it's the tone of it. It refers to the rightful reign of the Galactic Empire. It refers to the Empire's ultimate peacekeeping force, the Death Star, being destroyed due to an unforeseen design flaw. And it's just kind of, it's all done from that perspective. Obviously, Darth Vader is going to be the protagonist in this. We kind of know that there's a more sympathetic side to that character, or at least his backstory is more sympathetic now. But, and this book does a really good job of not taking leaving him with teeth. He's still a sinister, character who gets what he wants by force. But, pun, not intended, but it works. But he's also really interesting in a way that just an out-and-out evil character wouldn't be. It takes place immediately after the Death Star being destroyed. Actually, no, it takes place immediately after the events of the first arc in the Star Wars comic. Immediately after that. And it concludes the action in that hasn't yet concluded in the actual comic, which I don't like to get annoyed by. Slightly glitchy, schedule-y thing.
Yeah, something happens in this book that we haven't yet seen in the main book, which I found curious.
I wondered about that because I don't think I'm going to keep getting the Star Wars book. So it's, okay. But it opens on Tatooine, which is a great place for a Star Wars comic to open. Immediately gets into, Darth Vader going and visiting Jabba the Hutt. A lot sooner than we ever saw Jabba the Hutt in the original trilogy. And we don't quite know what he's doing there yet, but basically he's been sent with a mission by the Emperor, who is treating him like shit. Basically, he's completely blaming Darth Vader for the destruction of the Death Star.
That's just mean.
Yeah, it is a bit mean.
But to be fair,
he should really kill the Emperor.
The Emperor, he makes some good points, because it's like you let them leave the Death Star.
Yeah.
With the plans.
He did do that.
The Death Star's blown up. I've got to say, Darth, I think it's your fault.
Well, maybe if his boss was a bit more supportive, a bit more, carrot instead of stick, Maybe if he's a bit more bigging him up, building his self-esteem, going, hey, good work, Vader,
You did your best.
Maybe if he just killed them all when they got onto the Death Star, it wouldn't have been
as long a film?
No, it'd have been a much shorter film, but, they'd still had their Death Star, and they could have maintained peace throughout the galaxy. Ultimately, everyone knows what you really want is a benevolent dictator.
But anyway, so Darth Vader, he goes to do what he's supposed to. We see a lot of familiar faces, but at the same time, he's got his own. Because he's a little bit wary of the Emperor being a bit angry with him. He's got his own agenda. He's recently encountered this plucky young rebel that he doesn't really know, who's carrying his lightsaber, his old lightsaber, and he doesn't know what that's all about. So he's trying to find out more about that. And at the same time, he wants to know what the Emperor's up to. So he's got some business that he's supposed to be on with Jabba.
He has issues.
Yes, he has issues. He also has his own shit that he wants Jabba to look into for him. Yeah. And I won't say too much more about the story than that because there's, you've got to leave something there for you to read about. But I really liked it. James mentioned the likenesses. The art is really rich and the colours are really, rich. It does a really good job of placing all of the characters in space. The likenesses are great, but it doesn't seem static when characters are doing stuff the way you might, the way sometimes happens in books like this. The problem I had with the first book was there was so much Star Wars in it that there were so many references to the original movies, and there's a little bit of that because Jabba's palace is a location we know really well.
I think this was a little bit more on the nose in terms of satisfying existing fans, because obviously I had a conversation with someone when talking about Star Wars, and they said, well, as somebody who doesn't particularly like or hasn't really watched the movies as obsessively as you'd expect some of us to have done, would I like it? And I wasn't sure I could necessarily sell it to someone who's completely new to the Star Wars universe. I think this was a bit more on the nose in terms of, I really think you have to be
embedded
into Star Wars culture.
I think you might be right.
Because otherwise, why there are several significant moments in this book that you have to know all 6 films to understand why it's resonating.
I think you're
probably even
right.
expanded universe. I got a feeling in a couple of bits, but
I think you might be right, but at the same time, it's really satisfying for a lapsed fan like me in a way that a lot of the Star Wars output hasn't been. It is digging a bit deeper into one of the main characters.
Yeah.
And so we're not getting, it looks like we're not just getting a comic and another adventure of Darth Vader. It looks like they've decided they're going to really look into his character in a way that I wasn't expecting necessarily. It's not a shallow read at all, is it?
not at all. I really like the character voice is really strong. I really like the exchange between him and Jabba.
Yeah.
They both sound exactly as you'd expect an encounter like that. Because at times, because I'm so immersed in Star Wars culture, it was really weird to see Darth Vader on his own in Jabba the Hutt's palace. It just felt a bit...
You've never seen it, and it never happens.
No, it just didn't... Also, whenever you see Vader in the films, he is surrounded by a phalanx of stormtroopers as a rule as well. So it's kind of odd seeing him sort of out of the sort of the way he's portrayed in the films. But obviously, if you accept the fact that, you know, there is a universe in which these stories are told where they lived lives, then it makes sense. I liked it. It's very well written.
There's a lightsaber battle.
Love lightsaber
which is
battle.
good, and it's a pretty nice lightsaber battle.
There's a bit of pew-pew and fun.
I always like the colours when they do lightsabers, because they actually do make them glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just like block kind of blue, red kind of block colour. It's like actually glowing, which is really nice.
And they make use of the visual flourish of it. They did that a little bit with the Star Wars issue 1 as well, actually. But it's because there's a little bit of there's a little battle in there as well. But in this, you're right. It's because the location is really dark as well.
Yeah.
So they do a lot with how the lightsaber looks how the lightsabers look when they're moving, and how the lasers look when they're moving. The thing I really liked about this, though, which was just something I'd never really thought about before. It might be in the movies, and I've just never really registered it. Is Darth Vader? Jabba expects Darth Vader to do certain things because he's a Jedi Knight, and so you learn something about the difference between the way Jedi Knights behave and the way Sith Lords behave.
Sure.
All using the Force, which I think it's something that comes up in the games. It's about the fact that Jedi Knights tend to use coercion and mind tricks, and Sith Lords basically use Force choke and stuff like that, which is definitely a thing that's come up in the games, but I've never heard it described or explained in quite the philosophical way it is here.
Definitely in the Clone Wars, they hit that bang on the...
There's,
I think an arc 2 or 3 where they go to a weird planet where there's basically avatars of the dark and the light side. And
I think I remember that bit.
Yeah.
Is the Clone Wars good?
Yeah, very good.
I really liked it.
I should get on that tip. That's the thing young people say.
Is it weird? I think I like the Star Wars expanded universe much more than I like the main 6 films.
No,
or 3, depending on what you acknowledge.
No, because it's a really rich well, to be honest with you. For all we moan about the prequels, Lucas created such an intriguing sort of playground for people to tell stories in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's all gone now, of course, but but it is nice.
Like the recent Dark Horse mini-series, Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir. That was really good.
I haven't read. I didn't read many of the Dark Horse comics. I read some of the. I read a lot of the. Well, I read a couple of issues of the Brian Wood run, and I also read the. What was Wedge's team?
Wedge Antilles. The Rogue Squadron. Right?
Rogue Squadron. Yeah, I read a lot of Rogue Squadron, but I didn't read much of the other expanded universe. Was that good? The Darth Maul
It was
stuff?
mostly because it had all Darth Maul all the time, and Darth Maul is the best Sith ever. And Rebel Heist as well was very good.
He got punked by frigging Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and then he came back with robot legs.
Oh, I find that
Did that
hard
happen?
to believe. Did he? What in the
expanded universe? Yeah,
with
James,
robot legs.
You can do literally anything you want when you've got an expanded
come
universe.
on. If Anakin Skywalker can get thrown in lava and get given an entire robot body, come on, we can give Darth Maul robot from the waist down.
She's not wrong.
I think everyone having a tantrum should be thrown in lava.
And then replaced with a robot copy of themselves.
That's exactly what you should do, though.
So Darth Vader, number 1, I'm very much for it.
Yeah, biggest compliment I can play. I genuinely, I kind of started reading it and then put it away and read it from the beginning again. I didn't want it to end. It was one of those comic books where I was like dreading when the final swipe came. I enjoyed it so much. I wanted at least 50 pages.
The final swipe.
Yeah, that's how I read my comics now, Nick. You're going to have to get used to it. I'm sorry.
You make me sick.
I'm trying.
2000 Prog 1917.
Do the joke.
Entirely produced using up the energy and hard work and creativity of the year 1917. It got beamed forward to make this issue. We're getting closer to the present day, James. I don't know what happens when we get to 1973, which is when I was born. It uses up each... Laura, you might not know this, but the way 2000 is produced is kind of probably not particularly environmentally or ethically friendly in that each issue, each prog as they call it, burns up all of the resources and energy and time of the year relating to the prog. So this is 1917. If you had ancestors in 1917, they're gone now.
Well, the good news is that I guess the Titanic no longer sank because we've gone past 1912. So, maybe it could be a force for good. Maybe when it gets to, 1930, we'll get rid of Hitler. Maybe it's a force for good.
She's got...
Yeah, but also...
That's a real glass half full sort of stuff.
Just a sunny disposition
But
kind
it's also
of
going to eradicate the swing era. And I like, the swing... It was quite exciting era in
Swingers.
Jazz music. The swing era.
Oh, the swing era. I thought you said the swinger.
Jazz music from that era is exciting, It's good. But
swinging's probably quite exciting. I don't know.
Stop putting an ing on the end for comedy. Don't do a comedy ing. It's wrong. Don't use them up like that. Don't cheapen ing. Not a lot of people know. Obviously, 2000 AD started in year 1.
Yeah.
Jesus, first Tharg.
Was Jesus the first Tharg?
Yeah, honestly, straight up.
He completely turned his back on all of the people of his own time by coming forward and doing a comic that started destroying the timeline.
It was him, then Andy Diggle.
Right, okay.
So hang on a second, what happens when 2000 AD gets to 2000 AD, as in using it up? Will it sort of collapse in on itself?
I think so. Maybe
or will it
everything will
form
start
like an
again.
Ouroboros of like perpetual energy and nothing else need get destroyed?
I think
will eat itself.
everything I learned about science and the universe and the way time exists, I learned from the Bare Naked Ladies documentary song, The Big Bang Theory, which got retasked to go on the beginning of a TV program that I don't like to think about.
I don't think anyone's ever really watched that TV show.
No, I don't think that.
Not very popular.
But
I don't like
I've never
it.
watched it. I don't know what you mean. But anyway, so in that song, it suggests that the world started from the first issue of 2000 AD and will end when 2000 AD. Everything will come. Yes, you're right. Exactly as Laura said, everything will compress back in on itself, and it will create another 2000 AD, which will a universe in which people can read 2000 AD. And all of this has happened before, and all of this will happen again. You
can read a lot about it in Hindu scriptures.
Yeah. So anyway, I read that. That was good. The Judge Dredd story. It's always the reason I keep mentioning 2000 AD week on week at the moment, although I am reading more of it than I was a few weeks ago, is The Dark Justice. It's on part 7 now, written by John Wagner, art by Greg Staples. I don't know how they still managed to make the Dark Judges creepy. Some of the visuals in this made me
because they're scary, they're terrifying.
Not only did every sphincter on my body kind of clamp up on a particular frame, particular panel, but my whole body clamped up like a sphincter. So that should go on the front cover of next week's.
How many sphincters do you have?
Many.
Bottom, the bit on the end of the penis.
Oh, okay.
Is that it? There must be more than that.
You must have in your digestive.
I think there's a bunch in your digestive tract.
I thought there was only one sphincter. Today I have learned something.
Are your eyes sphincters? Well, it's like there's the main sphincter.
The kind of like muscle thing. Yeah.
That's your capital S sphincter. Yeah. It's named sphincter, but then the word sphincter means a whole bunch of. It's like Aborigine.
Beautiful nose, the sphincter.
Is the nose a sphincter?
Fell off, didn't it? A couple of thousand years ago. Oh, that's a sphinx. Sorry, very confused. You can find out, though, what I like about... It's comic book related because you can find out how the Sphinx lost its nose in Asterix and Cleopatra.
Oh, you talk about those sometimes. It's been a while, though.
I'll pick it up again.
So anyway, there was a panel in that made my whole body turn into a sphincter.
More ass talk next week.
The other thing, as I pointed out earlier on, I had a lot of trouble finding stuff to buy in the comic shop this week because I tend to buy series that are just starting... so that I can talk about them, and there wasn't an awful lot. One thing I did pick up though was Usagi Yojimbo Grasscutter. It's part of a thing that Dark Horse are doing called 1 for 1, where they've got issue ones for $1. I didn't actually check to see how much Forbidden Planet charged me for it though. I don't know if they charged me like 60p or whatever. Probably, yeah. But anyway, it's a little bit cheeky with Usagi Yojimbo because Grasscutter isn't actually Usagi Yojimbo number 1. It's just the first part of the Grasscutter story, which was Usagi Yojimbo's been going for years. It's, I think, recently finished, on the book Senso. But there are like 29 volumes and a whole bunch of specials. Each volume is pretty thick. Grasscutter was number 12. I think the reason they picked this one, though, is... Right, okay. Usagi Yojimbo grew up out of a combination of fascination that American comics were starting to have with manga, that was sort of starting with Lone Wolf and Cub, which I think Dark Horse were actually publishing, and also Akira, which Epic were publishing, which Marvel were publishing. And Lone Wolf and Cub in particular is very precise, bold storytelling about a samurai, a ronin, with his a masterless samurai, with his son that he's like carrying around, hence the cub. And at the same time, there was sort of a funny animals thing going on, which I think Usagi Yojimbo might have started as a backup strip in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or they might have done a Space Usagi series that was in that. But so that was all kind of happening at the same time. Usagi Yojimbo isn't done in a manga style. It's by Stan Sakai, who I believe is a Japanese American. But I could be wrong about that. So sorry, Mr. Sakai. I know you've got other stuff on your mind anyway at the moment. So, anyway. But it isn't really done in a manga style at all. It's done in this really cartoony style in which everyone in Japan is kind of an, I want to say anamorphic, and that's not right. Anthropomorphized animal person character. Usagi Yojimbo, the main character who is a masterless samurai, is a rabbit. He wears a nice blue outfit. He's got big, nice, lovely white ears and a very serious look on his face almost all the time. And everyone else in it is good. And I was reading a review actually that pointed out something which I'd picked up on in reading Senso, which is the main thing I've read, which is the recent thing. It's violent in that everyone in it is using bladed weapons and people die all the time, but it's really bloodless. It's still quite graphic because you see slices cut out of people and stuff like that. But actually, it's also quite sanitized a little bit. So you are feeling the weight of everything that happens in it, but it's not gross, you know. I think the reason they picked Grasscutter is because it represents a point at which not only had Stan Sakai really hit, I mean, it's 12 volumes in, so it's quite a way in. I think the first book was quite rough. It's like Cerebus the Aardvark. It's quite rough. It's inspired by a lot of things, but doesn't really have much of its own voice. It's like an animal version of things. It's like a pastiche or an homage or something. But by this point, and I think a lot earlier than this, his line had started to really become perfect. I heard somebody say, I read somebody saying that you can see a real progression, but actually I think his art's pretty much perfect by this point. You know, it hasn't changed that much by this and Senso, I don't think. It's very clear and very crisp and very lovely. But I think also this was when the whole cast of characters had started to resolve. I don't know who any of these characters are. I know Usagi Yojimbo. Senso, I'll just to explain what Senso is. It's a series that Dark Horse did recently that's apparently 10 years or 20 years after the main story. And about a massive war between a whole bunch of Japanese armies, and then the Martians attack. It's basically War of the Worlds. Well, it's exactly H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, but in the Usagi Yojimbo universe. And it's fucking amazing. It's really, really good. So I knew some of the characters from that. I didn't know them from this. This is a great comic. It's a really good introduction to Usagi Yojimbo. It is all in black and white. It's very crisp. The characters, you don't need to know that much about them, really. You pick each one of them up quite quickly. The storytelling is really simple, but there's a lot of different characters and a lot of threads up in the air. Alongside Usagi himself, who is just wandering Japan, helping villagers after an earthquake and stuff. There's also a lot of this historical feudal Japan stuff going on. What I think is a little bit cheeky, though, is I didn't realise this until afterwards. I don't think that Dark Horse are going to carry on doing Grasscutter from this. I think this is part of their issue 1 for £1 thing. So what this has done is it's made me really want to go and get the Usagi Yojimbo books, but there isn't going to be more Grasscutter. There aren't going to be any more single issues after this one, I think. I think it's a promo for the graphic novel, which I'm sure they would clear about online and stuff, but I didn't know when I bought it.
Or it's part of that false economy about sort of issue 1s having value.
Well, I know that people do. Yeah, people are more likely to pick up issue 1s, aren't they? That's kind of the comic publishers are very aware of that at this point.
But then I think the only reason to jump on at issue 1 is right now I know I'm getting it at the beginning. There's not really much backstory to keep up with. It's I think anyone going issue 1, this will be worth money, is being duped.
At this point, always. It's never been much better than that. But at this point, there's still an imagined value to it, which is just and then something gets optioned for a TV series, and suddenly you get one image number 1 out of a dozen image number 1s that month that is worth a lot of money, and that just starts the whole thing off again. It is kind of crazy. But it's made me want to buy the graphic novels, and that means that's going to be quite a much bigger outlay. It's really nice. I bought it really cheap, knowing that I was going to do something this week. I should have mentioned this to James really beforehand. It doesn't matter, James. You didn't have to do anything. I also picked up because our local Forbidden Planet has started doing cheap comics that didn't sell off the shelf.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about in previous episodes. We talked a little bit about Bitch Planet.
Yeah. Oh my god, I love it.
Which is great, but also has this real grindhouse aesthetic to it. And every time we've mentioned that, I've also mentioned that Alex DeCampi's been doing these grindhouse comics. They're
which
2-part stories from Dark Horse, which are absolutely great. Yeah. And there was a 2-part story, a recent one with art by R.M. Guerra, who did Scalped. It's, I think, the first properly supernatural one. It's about a woman trying to survive in the middle of nowhere from these embodiments of evil, basically. It's a great horror comic. I'm not going to review it now, but I am going to give it away to someone.
Ooh. All right. If you want to
not to you, James. Oh. And I've written it down because it is a little bit complicated. What we are going to do, but I kind of decided I was going to do it. It's entirely cynical. It isn't that. It's entirely cynical. Because we know that people who listen do like the show, but sometimes it isn't in people's practice to actually share stuff when they find it online anymore. Yeah, no. So what I thought was a draw. So, I'm going
2 people get it?
Sorry?
It's like 2 people get it?
A raffle, like a raffle.
Oh,
okay.
And
what
we're doing a tombola, basically.
Yeah, tombola.
I want a big person who turns the barrel.
No. These 3 comics are going to go to someone, one of our listeners. But the way you enter is, I think it's quite simple, but I had to write it down just in case it isn't. And it is entirely geared towards Facebook and Twitter at the moment, pretty much. But basically, if someone retweets or shares a link to one of our episodes, from now until, let's say, Sunday, which is, what's the date on Sunday? Someone must know.
I don't know. 15th, because Saturday is Valentine's Day.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Saturday's Valentine's Day. Shit.
It's going to be a fun day at work for me.
Yeah, so basically, let's say till Sunday, so the 15th of February, if listener, if you retweet or share a link, one of our posts that we do on Twitter or Facebook that links to an episode, then that's 1 ticket in the tombola. If you create a brand new tweet or Facebook status that talks about the episode and links to it, that's 2 tickets. And if you do a blog post or something like that that's completely brand new, where you go, this episode's fucking great. They talked about sphincters quite a lot, actually. And I've got something to say about sphincters. And here's the episode.
And also Laura sounds really pretty.
Yeah, okay. That too.
That'll get points.
That's one of the things Laura's allowed to say, but if we said it, it'd objectify.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's 5 tickets.
Yeah,
So
no, that sounds equitable.
So a retweet.
I might throw something in as well, maybe.
Okay, cool. Okay,
My
good.
iPad. No, I'm joking.
No, not your iPad. So a retweet or a share, 1 ticket. A brand new share link on your Twitter or Facebook, 2 tickets, and a whole thing that you write that happens to link to us. It's about something we talk about or something. 5 tickets.
Don't you think it would make more sense to make the deadline up until next Thursday?
Let's say next Thursday. Yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot. So next Thursday. What date's that then?
That'd be the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th?
The 19th. Okay, let's say the 19th of February. This is going really well. This is better than... This is going to sound ridiculous, Laura. This is actually going better than any of our competitions have ever already. We're explaining it a bit better. We'll try and track who does what online. I'll be trying to keep an eye on things via pingbacks and stuff, but try and use @issuespod if you're on Twitter. And if you are posting somewhere and you think we might not know about it, do email us. The email address for anything you want to say to us or do to us, say to us, or if you've got a contribution or something, is issuespod@gmail.com. That's issuespod@gmail.com. And the tickets are cumulative. So if you like RT or tweet about us 5 times in a week, that's 5 tickets. Or 10 tickets.
So how many tickets you get if you do 5 blog posts?
That's
20.
25.
You're really going to
It's maths, Laura. It's not complicated. 25. 5 blog posts is 25, right? If you do 5 blog posts and then 5 RTs, retweets or shares, that's 30. And then if you do 5 blog posts and 5 RTs and... No, my maths isn't that great. My mental arithmetic isn't that good.
You should cap
it's maths. It's not that hard.
Oh, yeah.
You should cap it at a 10 ticket cap.
But we don't.
Infinity ticket.
Yeah. Infinity tickets would probably win. Probably. And then I'll use a random number generator to work it out. Each ticket will be allotted a number.
Okay.
What, James?
Nothing.
Okay, good. And we'll send out the prizes.
Very complicated.
We'll send out the prizes almost straight away, which isn't something we've been great about in the past, but we will do. Have you still got those Spider-Mans?
So what's the next item?
Right, okay. I actually think we should probably stop.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So competition, talk to us on Twitter or anywhere actually.
Not on the street.
Don't talk to us. Well, you're never in the street. You're practically a shut-in at this point.
If I'm out, I'm going to be feeling a lot of anxiety, so just leave me be, eh?
Yeah, leave James be.
To be fair, they can't see your face here, so I don't think anyone will know.
No. Well,
but he's really pretty.
It's what the beard's for.
He isn't. He's just gorgeous. I love him.
See, now you're giving away details about yourself. You should say you have no beard.
Yeah, but at the moment,
you should
all
say
the men...
you're actually a deep-voiced woman.
All the men have beards, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah, good point.
My son... Really, we watch Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro, a lot, and everyone's always jumping onto Totoro and hugging him, and that's kind of how I feel about James, because I'm quite little and he's quite large. It sounds like a double act.
I'm 6'2" and I'm morbidly obese, Nick.
You're not morbidly. I mean, you are morbid.
No, I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
Like diagnostically speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't have known that. Just give me a break. You can talk to me at NickSite on Twitter. I am on Facebook, but I'm just angry on there all the time. I'm much nicer on Twitter, I think, maybe. I don't know.
No.
So that's NickSite. Laura, where are you online?
I am
you want people to talk to you.
I am on Twitter at Laura Does Stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also on Facebook, also at Laura Does Stuff. So it's nice and easy to remember. And
I'll link to the YouTube reviews on the show notes. Show notes, by the way, you can find at wehaveissues.net for this episode. James.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you online that you want people to talk to you? I don't want people to talk to me. I don't like being talked to.
Twitter, I'm James MOMB for the now defunct Momcast.
Go on.
I miss it. I don't know why he made us give it up. He did it.
I made
he did
us
it against our will, listener. I tell you, I don't know what's going on now. I've got all these monkey T-shirts that I made. I did screen print. No, I'm lying.
I was going to say you should throw them in with the prizes.
We had a lovely George Beedham logo for that as well.
You've been talking about T-shirts for 6 years now. It's never going to happen.
Well, it might.
No.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. For coming and seeing us at quite late notice. It's been lovely. I've had a lovely time.
Thank you for inviting me. I had fun.
Good. It's going to be an extra. I think it's going to go out as an extra long episode for the listener. So, so that's good because it's been lots of fun.
I like it when my favourite podcasts go long.
Thank you. Is this one of your favourites?
No, this isn't one of my favourites. I said I like it when my favourite podcasts go long.
Thank you, James, for being you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick, for running the show
into the ground.
Yep.
Thank you, listener. You're awesome.
Like a frigging Zeppelin. Oh, the humanity.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.